Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. But it's not really dawn. Daylight saving time, says 5:45, but it's really 4:45 a.m. But anyway, anyhow, I have I'm about to say two 40% alcohol blended Scotch whiskies. This one is called McCormick, and it's got a bagpiper on it, and it looks like a picnic tablecloth, yellow plaid, olive green, yellow, red, white. Blended Scotch whiskey aged 3 years, which is the minimum. So it's not Scotch cannot be less than 3 years aged in oak, or it's not legally a whiskey. I guess they could call it something else. Scottish spirit something, but that's not done. So here it is, imported and bottled by McCormick Distilling Company, Western Missouri. So it's brought into the United States in some kind of container, and it's bottled in Missouri to cut down on the price, the cost. And it was very cheap, unusually cheap. And this was given to me by my friend David. Thank you for the gift. $4.99. Now, $4.99 for a liter, that's not the normal price. Okay, it's more like $18 for a liter, which is still very cheap for Scotch, but I think it's discontinued. They don't list it on the website anymore. That's one sign that it's no longer made, right? Because it used to be on the website, and they still list all the other whiskeys that they sell. So they do make their own whiskeys there at the distillery, and then some are sourced, like this one. And they're Canadian whiskey, obviously brought in, because they don't own a distillery in Canada. They own that one distillery in Western Missouri, established in 1856. Some stores like Specs in Texas, SPEC', is still listing this. But that doesn't mean anything, because they might have hundreds of bottles in their possession, and they're going to sell them till they're all gone. But like I said, they listed about $18. I never saw this in my town. It wasn't really widespread to start with. This was purchased in Jefferson Parish, where you would see it here and there. In glass and even in plastic, which I found unusual, a plastic liter bottle, but there it was on the shelf. Okay, anyway, I didn't buy it. But anyway, there you go. Now, in my town, we do get a lot of McCormick products. They're American blended whiskey, their gin, their rum. I don't know about the rum, the gin, the vodka, yeah. Blended whiskey, gin, vodka, yeah. You'll see that at usually convenience stores. Yeah. Because in Louisiana, convenience stores can sell liquor. All right. Here's Buchanan's Deluxe. You definitely see this everywhere in Louisiana at any liquor outlet. We do have liquor stores, but they're rare because, why would you take the time to go to a liquor store when you could just pick up liquor at Walmart when you're shopping for bread and socks and cereal? And the answer is most people don't take the time to go to the liquor store. Blended Scotch whiskey, aged 12 years, beautiful embossed glass bottle with the Buchanan's crest on the back, plastic cap, red, maroon. It's supposed to look like a wax seal on either side, but it's just plastic glued on there. But cool looking bottle. Green protects it from the light more than a clear bottle would. This isn't going to protect it. Yeah, I'm down at the very end of it. Now this has a strange pourer where you can pour out, but you can't pour in. And the reason for that is because this is very popular in Central America and South America, even more so than the United States. I had a guy from Scotland, friend on Facebook. He said, I never heard of that stuff. And I live in Scotland. I said, you never heard of Buchanan's? He said, no, I never seen it. So it might be an export only product, but it's very popular in the Western hemisphere. Okay. But there's a problem in Latin America with corruption. You might have heard about that. And you'll have liquor stores, and there you go. It's all gone. Well, that's the end of it. Apparently, liquor stores would, in bar rooms especially, they would dump out the Buchanan's for themselves, and then substitute it with a cheap Scotch and try to sell it under the name. So what they did was they made this device where you can only pour out, and you can't pour into it. It's sealed. So that's pretty sad. Now, somebody told me they do that in the United States. Somebody was telling me, he's a Greek guy born in Crete, on the island of Crete, but he lives in America now legally. He said that's a common thing at bars in the United States. This is his claim. I don't know what research he did, or if he's just talking, but he said, they do that. They dump out the Jack Daniels and they replace it with some cheap whiskey, try to sell it full price. He said, but I can tell. I said, really? Yeah, I drank Jack Daniels so long. I said, well, that's another reason I don't ever get alcohol when I go out, because A, I don't want it, and B, it's that kind of foolish stuff. So I just get water. Honestly, I like to drink water with my food anyway, and then I'll just, hey, I'm at home here. I'll drink at home. I'm at home. I'm not driving anywhere anytime soon. So, and not that I'm drinking much right now because I barely poured any, because there's all that's left. It's really not enough for a taste challenge, but it's probably enough. Now, is it colored with caramel color? I don't know. It doesn't claim to be natural color, so it's probably colored. I'm sorry, you can't say colored whiskey. A whiskey of color. It's probably a whiskey of color. Okay, so this one's very pale. The McCormick is very pale. It won't focus. These Logitech cameras have a problem, especially with close-up focus. But it'll do it, but you might have to wait. I paid $30 for this, and somebody was telling me he had trouble with his camera doing that. And I said, how much did you pay? He said, $90. I said, oh, you got the fancy camera, but it still won't do it right. So I'm glad I only paid $30 for mine. But especially when it's dark, it can't focus close up. But I'll show you the website for Buchanan's. Somewhere along the line, they were purchased by Diageo. The Guinness Beer Company is what it really is, but they use an umbrella term, Diageo, for all their brands. Just like Jose Cuervo Tequila Company doesn't, they use an umbrella term, Proximo Spirits, for all their brands. They don't want to say something gin, something whatever, Beefeater. They own that, but they own some gin brand. But Beefeater gin from, that's kind of confuse people, so they call it Proximo Spirits. And so you'll see Bushmills Northern Irish whiskey, Bushmill Irish whiskey from Proximo Spirits, but it's really Cuervo. Okay, but anyway, enough of that. But it's interesting how these companies will buy each other out and make each other's products, even collaborate. Now we got Anheuser-Busch starting to contract brew a lot of Pabst beer. Haven't seen any around here, but apparently City Brewing wasn't able to keep up, even though 5 breweries, I think. All right, now who makes Buchanan's? Well, like I said, we know Diageo owns it. And they do own Active Grain Distillery, Grain Whiskey Distillery, and they own a bunch of single malt distilleries. Probably all done in-house. I don't think Buchanan's ever had their own distillery. It's just a brand that James Buchanan had come up with, and he contract people to get it, and he blended it. They might have had a blending facility or whatever, but maybe just a lab where they tested it, and then they sent the specs out to whoever was contracting it. They said, do it this way. Okay, we'll do it. But there's the famous Deluxe. That's the one you see everywhere. Walmart all the time, all day long. Run about $35 a bottle. Price the same as Chivas Regal. Also 12-year age and around $35. Okay. You might find a deal. You probably won't, but you might, down to 28 on a sale, something like that. It's unlikely. Now there's the Master. No age, but it's aged longer. I tried it. I didn't think it was that great, but I tried it. But I was only one. There was only one sampling. That's the one I plan to buy next. Okay, so I can't dog it. Special Reserve. I bought that one. That was like $90, a Christmas gift. So the person I gave it to, he still got most of it. He doesn't. I told him, I said, you ever thought about drink products? Or you just keep them like forever, But I drank, but to each his own. This is the 18-year-old, yes. So this is closing in on $100. Now, Red Seal is the 21-year age, and that one closes in on $200. So you're going to pay on the low end. That would be an amazing price this day and age. Find out for $150. I don't think that would happen. Up to $200, which is very likely. But somewhere in there, 185, 180, whatever. I see it occasionally. It's usually locked in a cabinet at the liquor store, or like I say, Louisiana, the store. And yeah, I know people might try to pocket that. But anyway, that's the special one, the Red Seal. I like to try it. Well, yeah, of course I like to try it, but I got to get up the ladder. I got to go. I'm not going to buy any Deluxe because I've gone through it. A bottle and a half. I'm going through a bottle and a half. Master is next. I'm going to like it. Special Reserve, Red Seal. Are there any other variants? Yes, they have a apple flavored. Pineapple flavor. Pineapple. And that's pretty that's actually very popular. I see that in all the stores. I never tried it. I'm not really into whiskey liqueurs, honestly. Although I own a bunch, I found deals on all of them. But I'm not really somebody that buys that kind of stuff. But that's all they buy. They don't buy. They say they're going to buy a whiskey, but when they say they're going to buy a whiskey, they mean a whiskey liqueur. So their mind of drinking whiskey is Jack Daniel's honey, Crown Royal blackberry, Buchanan's pineapple, because that's what they like. It's all pre-mixed. It's like a little sweet treat. So they put it on ice or whatever, and they drink it. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that, because if that's what you like to drink, then I guess that's what you like to drink. Of course, whiskey snobs, they're going to look down at it like, oh, that's what those people drink. They don't appreciate good whiskey. Well, in their mind, it's good. They like it. They do appreciate it. Okay, but you understand. No, I mean, it's kind of like the beer world. It's like people say Rolling Rock. You're buying Rolling Rock, and then they're thinking. You can hear them thinking. And what are their thoughts? They don't know good beer. Poor guy. Drinks Rolling Rock every day and loves it. Doesn't know how much he hates it. Doesn't even realize he hates it. But I drink Cantillon. I buy about 6 cases a month. Cost me thousands of dollars, but that's me because I'm special. That's the kind of thinking, All right. And if you're a real true beer snob, you don't even drink the beer. You just buy it and you trade it. You would never think of drinking it. Why would you drink it? Then it would be opened. And you let everybody know that you've got it. Make sure people see you buying it. It's so funny. All right. So I know people got a house full of toys, box action figures. I thought toys were for playing with. Kids buy them. The parents buy it for them. They play with it. But oh no. They tell me these are going to be worth something one day. I say, yeah. I work with a guy I work with him. He's got a house full of toys, boxed, never open, collectibles. It's worth a fortune. Got no money to fix his car, but he's going to have a house full. I say if it was worth a fortune, seemed like I'd have cashed out and got my fortune. People will say these comic books are worth so much money. I was like, yeah, I ain't never seen it. One guy approached me, he called me on the phone. He was like trying to intimate that he wanted to buy the comic books, all of them. I was like, oh, I don't think I want to sell them because then I wouldn't be able to look at them. I read them all. I read every single one, but I like to look at them, how they looked 50 years ago and stuff. But but he wasn't laying down nothing but air. He didn't come up with a price, but he wanted to see him first. I understand that. I told him what I had, and he was like, oh man, I can't believe it. And I think he was interested, and I could have let him come over here and look, but I didn't want to sell him. All right. I didn't buy him to get money anyway. Really, I just bought him because I liked him. All right. These, I don't ever buy whiskey or beer for collectible, believe me. But you said, well, what's all of that? I know what you're saying. What's all of that behind you? Yeah, well, that's beer bottles. They're empty. I drink the beer. I just saved them because I wanted to see how the labels would change over the years. I figured, they would change, and they did. And now I have some unopened bottles. These Michelob bottles down here are unopened. You can see those where I'm pointing. But I had to leave them like that because if I opened them, it would tear the shroud, and then it wouldn't look good, and then you just throw it in the trash. So those are unopened, but for that technical reason. Those are 25 years old, almost 30. Some of them never opened, and I wouldn't drink it because it'd be rotted. All right. I had a 1982 can of Dixie Light beer unopened, but I opened it and poured it out because I was scared it was going to blow up. I don't know. I got this bad feeling that it was going to explode. Like, I don't know, paranoid. How you say paranoid? But it smelled bad when I dumped it too, boy. Ooh, whoa. This smells neutral. I don't mean it has no aroma. It just smells kind of normal, like regular old, any kind of whiskey. Would I say Scotch if I smelled it? I don't know if I would say that. I would just say it's some kind of whiskey. I'm not sure. I'd have to taste it. I have to think about it. This one, I think this one I would say is Scotch because it has that kind of gnarly. If you're from California, you say that. That's how California people speak. You said it has a gnarly aroma, meaning kind of rotted, weird. Something ain't right with it. And that's kind of like that perception of Scotch. So it has that. Time to taste. This is McCormick is not gonna win. So it's got a little peat. Now I don't know what they're talking about on the website. Chocolate, and they're talking about chocolate, and what else they said? Stone fruits and exotic, the scarlet pimpernel and all of this stuff flavors. I don't know about all that. They always have these flavors, and I don't ever pick them up. I never tasted any Scotch tastes like chocolate, unless it was a chocolate liqueur. But that's Buchanan's. They know more about it than me. I'm picking up a little peaty smoke though. They don't mention smoke on the website. They don't have a say nothing about smoke, but I'm picking it up. It's like Johnny Walker Red Label. Read the website. They don't ever have the word smoke coming through. As soon as I taste Johnny Walker Red Label, like what? Did somebody light a fire somewhere? So you say, well, you ain't you're not an expert. Oh, I know. I never claimed to be an expert. I'm not an expert. I'm just tasting it. I'm like Henry Hill. I'm just listening. All right. Smoke over there on my left. Over here to my right, maybe a little honey. And honestly, cereal grain. Like malted barley, bread, you know, maybe wheat. I think that's what it tastes like. Very bready. Do I mind a bready flavor? I don't mind it. Is it distinctive, like stand out? Is it so much different than other Scotch whiskeys? No, it's like ordinary. That would be the main descriptor of this. It's ordinary. It's regular. Notice I never said off, strange, weird, unpleasant, offensive, or anything like that. I just say it's regular. Well, it should be. Look at it. It's plain. It was meant to be plain. It's designed to be inexpensive. And I don't even think they make it anymore because it probably wasn't much of a seller. So would I buy it? Would I recommend it? I'd recommend it if you like regular old, ordinary stuff. Especially if you find a liter bottle for $4.99, which is the most amazing deal in the world. Now, Buchanan's got a lot of cachet with it, got a lot of character. It better have more. It's $35, not $5. Hey, Jay, did you get a sunrise this morning? Cloudy and depressing here, says Wesley S. Timer. No. Well, it's starting to come out. It's cloudy. It's going to be overcast here too. We might get more rain. I was trying to edge my yard yesterday, but that was no hope. There was no hope for that. It was raining all day, most of the day, half the day. Well, half the day. Just got to stay busy. Yep. Hot today, up to 80. I think it might not get out of the 70s here. Be 79 maybe. It's got that damp chilliness, Louisiana just gets so damp. It doesn't take much to you get a bad chill, even in the summertime with the rain. It's not that Louisiana ever gets that cold, although we did get to 12 degrees this year with the blizzard, but that didn't last. But how long was it 12 degrees? 3 hours maybe. It got down. That was the low point, 12 degrees. Then it would start climbing. But it stayed below freezing for at least 24 hours or longer. Damaged my palm tree, but it'll come back. The guy on the radio, Dan Gill, the horticulturist, he said, don't cut the leaves if it has green on it. He said, now if the whole palm leaf is brown, just cut it. It ain't coming back. He said, but if it has any kind of green, just keep it because it might come back. So I didn't cut too many leaves because they all have a little green on them. So we'll see. That thing is hardy, Hope to see some videos with you and Dave soon. Yes, he did join Sunday for live super porter and stout porter Sunday, Easter Sunday porter and stout porter Sunday, and he had a very strong stout, worldwide stout, 15.5% on the label. He says seems stronger. I've noticed that too with worldwide stout. It'll say 16 or whatever, and you taste it's like. So it's stronger than that, but I don't know. Yeah. Oh, the smoke. Man, I'm going to miss Buchanan's. But that's it. It has to end. So, dear friends, you'll just have to carry on the dream. But McCormick, yeah, I won't mind. Notice I didn't call it yet, but I know this is McCormick. It's going to have the right label on it. Yep. Okay. Had a letter M. Okay. The word amazing and the word McCormick blended Scotch whiskey, they will never cross over. There will never be a crossover between amazing and McCormick. Those don't interact. Inexpensive, value priced, if you want to say cheap, those work with McCormick. Unknown, yes, but in America people know about it, but it's actually good. So you could shake your hand, wave your hand or shake your head and say, you're crazy. Nobody can buy a cheap Scotch and have it taste good. Ain't no good cheap Scotch. Well, there is. Sorry to bust your pomposity bubble, but there is. Is it all good? No, definitely not. But is some of it good? Yes. 100 Pipers, that's a cheap one in America now. In India, and it's like a premier brand. But over here, it's called Seagram's 100 Pipers in India. But here it's controlled by Heaven Hills, so they dropped the Seagram's off the label, and it's just called 100 Pipers after they got control of it, after Seagram's got out of the liquor business. So but I think it has a lot of character. Didn't say amazing. I said a lot of character for a cheap. And I got that bottle for $3.98. You say, what? Yeah, a 750. I got 750 milliliters of 100 Pipers for $3.98 at Discount Depot. They ought to call that place Super Discount Depot. I was pretty amazed by that. I'm still amazed by that. And in the future, I will be amazed by that. Okay. Good job, McCormick. You competed. You didn't win. You weren't going to win. There was no chance of winning, but you fought, you battled, you didn't get depressed, even though you got beat 27-6, because you did get 2 field goals. So, and it was only 10-6 going into the fourth quarter. So, and you didn't get blown out till your reserves, till your starting crew got tired, your starting lineup got tired, your first string got tired and you put it in the backups and started to fail. But I like to do whiskey like college football, There's a lot of good analogies between college football and whiskey challenges. Because, Buchanan's is a solid top 25 team. McCormick is like, they're pretty good in the Mountain West Conference, but yeah, they're not gonna, they're just not. And they go to the Liberty Bowl and they won, and everybody said, "Oh, it was a good game at the Liberty Bowl. I got a ticket for $10." Morning, somebody gave it to me on the street, sold it to me on the street. Good morning, hope you are well. Hope you had a good Easter, says Joe Cobb. That's cheaper than a big bottle of water. Laughing out loud. I know. I will say this again and again and again and again and again, on and on and on until the break of dawn. You can find the greatest liquor prices in Louisiana, and I'm shocked by it. And I live here. I find prices, and for beer too. My friend David called me yesterday. He was going crazy. Talking about David, he was going crazy because Rouse's. They said they were resetting their beer section. They were resetting it, and they were getting rid of some brands. Maybe they weren't selling as well. Whatever was happening. And he said they had like 10 different brands for half price. It was 50% off. It wasn't old dated or anything. He said they had Rolling Rock 50% off. 12 packs and 6 packs of tall cans. I said, buy it. Rolling Rock's good. They had little something something from Lagunitas, 50% off. Voodoo Ranger Juicy Haze, 50% off. He said, is that any good? I said, it's good, good, a B. But for 50% off, it's A+, But so he was going wild over there, buying everything. He was trying to get me to buy. I said, look, I got a whole fridge full of beer. I appreciate it. And that's a fine. And theoretically, I would jump on that like a madman, but I don't need it because I got too much now. But then when Aldi had the 6 packs of stout and porter for 99 cents, that's the unbeatable price. You heard me right. 99 cents a 6 pack. And they had a whole pallet of it. It wasn't like a few little packs of it. You could have filled a whole room with it. I was like, I didn't even have words, 99 cents a 6 pack. I thought I was looking at it wrong. I said, I gotta see if this is gonna ring up right, because I thought it was gonna ring up wrong, Sure enough, ring up 99 cents. And we talking about 8% stout. Chocolate lava cake stout. So, it's a pastry stout. That'll work your nerves after a while. So, You know, you don't want to drink that all the time. But I bought, and then they had the chocolate peanut butter porter, same thing, 99 cents. And some other stuff too that I wasn't really that interested in. But of course, I had to buy a lot of it. And I figured the date is good. It wasn't even a bad date. The date is like July 26th or something like that. I said, well, I don't understand. I think they coded it wrong. Somebody typed in the wrong thing and it came up 99 cents. Nobody checked it, but I didn't care. I bought it like a crazy person. It's almost worth a trip to Louisiana to get those amazing deals, says Craft Beer Tastic. It is, but then if you came here, everywhere you went, they wouldn't have the deal that week. You know what I mean? You come here and you go shopping and nobody would have the deal. And then as soon as you left, then the deals will come back. That's my experience with stuff. Like when you're trying to find it, you can't. It's like you're trying to go to sleep, you can't get to sleep. But if you're trying to stay awake to watch a movie, you can't stay awake. But anyway, that's the story. And I'm unanimous in that. So the winner, obviously, not that there was ever any question about that, is McCormick, Buchanan's. The clear and present winner. No shock. Next time is another Diageo brand. It'll be a little closer contest because that one doesn't stand out quite as much. It's only a 3-year age, but it's a venerable brand. It goes back to 1890. It's called White Horse Scotch. They might have variants of it, but they don't talk about it on their website. But anyway, White Horse, not common in Louisiana, but I did find it, which in itself was a bit of a shock to me. Not a cheap one, but not expensive. Middle. It's middle. But there is a website for it, so I'll show you. But I'd ship it all back home with FedEx. Yeah, it's something to find these kind of deals. You know, it's really something else. You know. But anyway, thanks for tolerating this long video. But I thought the topics were interesting. It wasn't just a bunch of blab. You know, to me, it had interest level. An interest level. I watched some videos. They got no interest level. They might have a long video, fine, but it's talking about I went to buy vegetables in Otis, this farmer's market, and they go on like 20 minutes about a farmer's market. And remember when his Uncle Jimmy used to take him there, and I'm like, I don't want to watch a vlog, okay, a video log. I'm not interested. I don't know who you are. I'm not involved in your life. You know, I was looking at the product. I was really interested in the product, the beer, but you barely talked about the beer the entire video. And there's a lot of video reviewers, if you want to call them that, who don't actually review the beer. They just talk about they're going to renovate their house, or their boss was mean to them at work. And all. It's like the beer is just a vehicle for their talk. They barely talk about the product. I don't get it, but I don't watch all that either. I might go long, right? But I'm trying to talk about the products and the whole thought about the products and where they're priced and if it's legitimate and all. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, we all take care, and I'll see y'all later.